Bene's Bloody Bits.
Actually, today it's Bene's Funny Bits with
Ooh.
Butthead, me, Beavis, Malcolm. How are you doing, sir? How was your weekend?
I'm doing really good, thank you. And I just realised I should have put Beavis there because I'm under Beavis's head.
You are. This
What
is
a
the first
muppet.
time I've had hair in about 15 years. So
50 years.
15, 20 years. So
Oh, so how you doing?
I'm good. It's hot, not as bad as last weekend, but it's still muggy. It's humid. This is not normal for California, but it has become the new normal, I'd say, in the last decade. Kind of
Well,
yucky.
Here we've had torrential rain all day.
Good rain, humidity, or just kind of nice and cool?
I would say up and down. Humidity, cool. Feels like rainforest kind of weather.
Gotcha. So let's talk about Beavis and Butt-Head. They were huge in the 90s. MTV had their show. Were you a fan? Were you watching them?
I was a
way back
fan.
then?
I remember, obviously, I was 5 when they first came out in 1993. But my cousin was a massive fan. So when I would say probably 6, 7, I'd see him on in the background, on his TV because he'd be watching them all the time. And at the time, I just thought they were silly, crazy kind of things. But as I got older, I realised it's not just comedy, but at times social commentary as well. So I was a fan.
Their humor is definitely an acquired taste. It's kind of moronic idiocy, right? Like you either love them or hate them. So to me, I knew people like these guys when I grew up. You know what I mean? Like in my neighborhood, there's always those, you have the smart kids, the cool kids, the guys are the jocks, and then you kind of have like the bonehead stoner dudes. They like AC/DC, they like Metallica. They're kind of like,
They're the ones that like,
potato.
chill, dude.
Exactly. So these guys, they work for me, and I always liked them. MTV back at this time, there was reality TV. There was, what was it? The Real World, which was like one of the first shows, but they still were a music television station. And these guys, they had their skits, but they also had their little side videos where they would watch music videos and make fun of them and kind of do that. So that's what people need to remember. It still was music television, and these guys were really funny, and they were huge.
Yeah, they were massive. And do you remember how many episodes there were in the original run?
I do not. Do you know?
I believe it was over 159, I believe. Because they were technically short because they used to play music videos in between the show, didn't they?
So they were more like kind of like when The Simpsons started, they were a bumper to the Tracy Ullman show.
Yeah, basically, because they were like 5-8 minute things because they used to be in between shows at the time on MTV. And then they used to put the music videos in because of MTV. And they'd do running commentary on them, which would actually make it a lot more fun. And you'd notice these bands or groups more. But I should listen to them through MTV and it'd keep going like that. So then they became more of their own identity more and became bigger to the point where people still enjoyed seeing that, but it was more about Beavis and Butt-Head than the little commentary parts.
I'm trying to remember. Didn't they have a video game like on Sega Genesis or one of the?
Yes, there was a video game. I believe it was on Nintendo. So it could have been on Sega as well, possibly.
Because I remember
be
like
wrong.
the way video games were back then. Because I remember there was a Ren and Stimpy video game on Genesis, and for the life of me, I want to say I played the Beavis and Butt-Head game, and it was difficult. It was really hard,
Look, I'm going to say this right now to you because obviously your memory's going. Every game from back then was difficult.
Well, have
you tried the Bill and Ted game and the Wayne's World game? I mean, come on, they were all difficult. So it was difficult.
Well, the problem with a lot of those games was it was one-hit death.
Yes.
You got hit once. It wasn't like your power drained or whatever. Like some games were like that. What was it like? Streets of Rage and Golden Axe.
Yeah. You had like 3 hits and stuff like that, didn't you?
See, now you make me want to talk about video games. I'm starting to get nostalgic for that. But you're correct. Video games were hard as shit back then. And how many quarters I put inside arcades in the liquor store in the corner of my house. Now we could just we have consoles that you can have all these games like one-stop shopping, all these retro games. They
Just
have.
so people watching know, what was your top arcade game? Just very quickly, because we want to stay on topic, but you mentioned it.
Let me throw out a couple. But
All right.
there was one, Golden Axe,
Okay.
Shinobi.
Brilliant.
Loved Shinobi, the original one. Loved Shinobi. Streets of Rage, Galaga, Super Pac-Man. Those are like my 5 off the top of my head favorites. But Shinobi, one-hit death. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. No, it was. Wasn't it?
It was free. It depends on what level you were on.
Finally, an intellectual stream on this channel. And I like the bonus stage where you get the deck of cards and the ninjas would come down like a bookshelf and you were like. And the reason I went to the video games is so there was a Beavis and Butt-Head game.
There was.
We could
I
always
think it was 2.
I wish I don't think they did a pinball machine. Like I remember Tales from the Crypt was huge in the 90s. An amazing pinball machine came out. I don't think Beavis and Butt-Head got a pinball machine.
No, but I think there was a couple of PC games, but were a bit like the Simpsons games, you know, where you could walk around the town and stuff.
Oh, that game was so fucking hard, dude.
You remember it?
Just the main, I think it was at the main street. You had to cross the street and pick up like a piece of paper.
Yes.
And you get run over by cars. You're like, shit, I can't even get to the stage. Because
boom. Ah.
Yeah, exactly. See, you remember.
Yeah.
Now, eventually, Beavis and Butt-Head got so big that they had their first theatrically released movie.
Yes.
Beavis and Butt-Head Do America. Was that better than the television show for you? Better, worse?
I think so, because it would have been the first real one I saw properly, you know, as a kid. I mean, like, I saw clips, sure, and I saw things on TV, but to actually own, because we didn't own the VHSs. Did you own any of the VHSs of the series?
I didn't, because it kind of stayed in syndication. It didn't really go away at that time. So I never bought them, and they were kind of random. Okay. They didn't really feel like they completed like the releases.
Because they're quite valuable now. But yeah, I think there was like 8 of those VHSs. There was Beavis and Butt-Head Do America, which came out in, was it 1998?
Definitely, yeah, I think I was right. 97, 98, late 90s for sure.
No, yeah, around that time. And it was the first time I think we really got to see that they could actually do a full feature film very easily with the 2 characters by just them wanting to do it. You know? Well, I love that film.
Because it could fail based off of, you know, maybe it only works as a 20, 30-minute show, but I think because of their stupidity, thing they do is a scenario to be 10 minutes long because they're such morons.
Well, if you watch the movies, like both of them, you realise that they actually are segments of what could have been in a show, but connected perfectly together. So, for instance, in Do America, it's them meeting the husbands and him like, oh, I want you to do her, and then her son, I want you to do her, and then them being on the bus, the FBI after them, Mr. Anderson, all these bits, they're all short parts that are connected technically together, which is perfectly done. So you are getting basically what they would have been in the series, but instead it works. The same as the other movie, when they go from, oh, you know, the science fair to the space to going in the future. See what I mean? So it works.
Because Mike Judge is the creator of Beavis and Butt-Head. Now, you said Mr. Anderson. Don't you feel like an extension of him was on King of the Hill?
Yes.
I mean, not the same character, but you almost felt like he branched off and kind of had his own show.
It does feel that way when you look at him.
So I remember seeing these on MTV and thinking it was caveman humor. It absolutely is caveman humor, Darth. You either like it or you don't. I kind of like that kind of humor. It's kind of the 80s aesthetic was that kind of raunchy, silly. These guys are dumb, but that's what makes it fun.
Well, you know, just before I forget, hey, Darth said yes. I'll say that quickly. I remember when I was younger, because Beavis and Butt-Head do remind me of when I was a kid. But I remind you when you're like 12 and you're hormonal, you're about getting it in, you're looking at girls, you go, I'm going to do her, I'm going to get with her, I did her last night, and all this, you know. but obviously on a more crazy aspect of it. But yeah.
So we got the TV series in the 90s. We have the movie. And then 2011, it was really short-lived, but they did come back briefly.
Didn't like
Maybe
it.
a season on MTV. I do remember liking it, but it came and went so fast that it almost didn't feel like it was a rebirth.
Well, I'll tell you why I didn't like it. Because it was more commentary on films like Twilight and stuff like that when they were in the cinema. I didn't like that as much as the music videos. And I felt like it felt a bit lazy. I don't know why. It looked nice. It's technically part of the original series. But I don't know. I just don't like it. I struggle with that. And I've got it on Blu-ray. I bought it the day it came out on Blu-ray. I imported it. Just not big fan of it.
And then in 2022, kind of out of nowhere, Paramount Plus releases direct to streaming Beavis and Butt-Head Do the Universe. I think I signed up just for Paramount Plus just to watch it. Loved it. Kind of was thinking about it recently, watched it again a couple days ago, still enjoyed it. Basically, they're at a science fair. It's 1998, so the movie kind of goes back to where they left off, not really counting the reboot of 2011. Of course, they find a way to burn down the science fair, end up in court. The judge is very lenient.
Because he's touched by an angel. That's why.
Touched by an angel. Thinks these youths need, they deserve, a second chance. Sends them to space camp, where, of course, how do they get picked? They're practicing the docking, more like the cocking. And they sit there for 18 hours having the docking thing go in, out, in, out. And we know the way these guys' minds works. They're perverts. For them, it's sex. These guys are two virgins. Always have been, always will be.
Don't forget the spanking.
The spanking. Yeah.
On the thing,
Yep.
And it going in and out the holes, like that hole.
But they sat there for almost a full day. And the NASA people are like, these guys are committed. And the one girl, Serena, the astronaut, yeah, let's send these guys off into space to help us with the docking. And then
my favorite line is when she goes, how about you come up to space and you do it with me?
Well, that's the whole point, that they think that she's talking about having, getting it on with them. They end up in space. She kicks them out of there because they've screwed up everything. And then the black hole comes, and where's the black hole?
Oh, you've missed so much. Well,
I'm trying to get to the plot, and then we could kind of fill in the gaps as we go. I don't want to do an audio. I was trying not to do an audio commentary. That's why. So they get to the black hole, which jumps them 24 years into the future. And to me, we'll get to that, but go ahead and talk about the space stuff. But I think the meat of the film is when they get to our time. The current time.
I agree. But I just want to say a couple of things quickly. The bit where she takes them into that room and she says to them, whatever you do not touch this equipment, and then leaves them in there. You're like, what are you doing? And then when they burn their eyes, on the sun, and they're smashing everything around, and you see the dead people in space and the space station, and then they're like, what happened, when they can see again?
Well, what's funny too? Go ahead. They burn one eye, and then they go do the other eye.
Yeah. And they both do it. They both do it separate times.
Fucking idiots.
I think the best part in that whole sequence is where she volunteers to die. They follow her and they go, did you hear her? Right? She gives them the wrist thing. Bangle, is it? They give her, and he goes, come on, we've got to go outside. And they're like, why? And he goes, because she wants us to watch her change. Exactly. She goes, watch me do my walk, and then they're out there banging on the window. He's got a thing going like this, right? And then he lets go of it. She's like, those assholes.
And also, when they are kicked out of space, she goes and tells the other people on the ship, hey, they decided to leave, but they find their way back to the windows. Then she puts on the thrusters and shoots them way back up to space. Like, get out of here.
And what about when they go, when they go, do you know what that is? And he goes, what's that? And it's like a bumhole. And he's like, no. And you're like, it's a black hole, you Muppets.
So the black hole sucks them into the future, which I think this is where the movie works the most. Because up until this point, it's the great stuff that we liked in the 90s, but technology has advanced so far in the 24 years between where they were and and they drop them into now. And that's when, they get a hold of a family sees them and wants them to take a picture, and they grab a hold of the cell phone, which they've never seen. And they're like, they think it's a TV.
Yeah.
And they have it pointed up at the family, but they think that's what they're watching. And they're like, this sucks. This could be better. And like, that works because they don't know what a cell phone is. They don't realize cell phones exist, so they take pictures. So
especially when they're paying with it and everything, when they go paying everywhere just to get like cheese Doritos.
Well, yeah, when they realize that
tacos,
they can pay
whatever they are,
everything, anything that they need, of course they don't buy like important stuff. They buy nachos and nacho cheese, and it's in a hotel and it's everywhere. And they're like, send more nachos. And that's so awesome because they don't even question how they can do this. They're just like, this is cool. And this is the way things are now.
I will say this, one of the highlights of the movie is when Beavis thinks that Siri is Serena, and he keeps talking about how much he loves her and has this deep connection, and they're talking. He's like, I don't understand Butt-Head either. I'm glad someone else does. And you're just sitting there going, I could see this actually happening to someone.
And he's obviously the sympathetic of the two because Butt-Head is the bully. Always slapping him, beating on him. And then Beavis, when the Siri talks back to him and it makes sense to him, he doesn't even question it's AI or whatever. He's like, yeah, Butt-Head's always picking on me. And, you kind of feel for him because you realize he just wants a friend that treats him right. But these are not popular guys. And so they kind of need each other. So you feel for him. And then when, the Siri ends up in the toilet, in the porta potty, he's like, I'm going to go down there and get it. And of course, Butthead, he's literally head first into the toilet.
Yeah.
And what does Butthead do?
He
jumps up and down on him and stomps him. And that's too crazy.
Well, they're getting taken away on the truck. Like the guy doesn't even hear them in there messing around.
But they don't care. And it's gross, but it's hilarious at the same time. And then let's talk about when they get to the college and they teach them about white privilege.
That's hilarious, that. And when she's like, because you're white privilege, and she goes, your dad. And he goes, my dad. And Beavis goes, he was told his dad died of syphilis.
I just like how they just walk out of the school, don't truly understand what white privilege is, other than that they're white. And they just think that they're like Kens. Instead of Karens, they end up like Kens.
Taking cake, taking things, setting things on fire.
I just like the politics of it it's never heavy. It's just this is the way our culture has changed. And of course they take advantage of it. And it's just, that's too funny.
And then they try and steal the car, don't they?
I like the jail scene too, because that's when we
I
get
love the jail scene. TP for my bunghole. And then he goes, I've only got one bunghole and I want to give it to you, and all this. And then you've got the warden guy going, I saw Touched by an Angel last night. And you're like, did they watch the same episode?
Also, you figure these are little runts that go into jail are going to get pummeled. Yet somehow Cornholio, it's like a rallying cry, and he gets everybody on their side. So
TP for the bunghole.
They stumble their way and never are really held accountable. They're like many politicians. They never are held to the same standard. They just fumble their way through life.
I just love how they're like, let go. Like, you know what? They're inspirational. Give everybody all the toilet paper they need and send them on their way as if they were never here.
And also, this movie, since this movie came out, they have a new series on Paramount Plus. And I think the two best things got carried over from the movie into the show. One is the two people that are going to help them get back to their time, the alien, the alternate universe version of them, Smart Beavis, Smart Butthead, they're like aliens, which is totally the same voice. It's Mike Judge doing the voices, but to see them serious and somewhat educated, that works well. And they're the ones that are going to try to help them get, the wormhole to get back home, Yeah, so that works well. Also, old Beavis and Butthead, they're barely even talked about in the movie, but you see a glimpse of them. If you watch the new series, they work better. They're actually funnier because they're exactly where you think Beavis and Butthead would be as middle-aged men. Jobless, living off the government, bums, drinking beer on the same couch, just let their health go. They're a hot mess.
The most of England, then.
What'd you say?
I said most of England, then.
Is that true?
Yeah, that's true.
That they're jobless, or
most of England jobless and drinking booze.
Has it always been that way, or are you just joking? Or?
It's been that way more since the pandemic thing.
So there's some correlation between what's going on in the UK and US, where people got comfortable and they sat home and they still got paid, right? During the pandemic, they got like some sort of
over there you got paid 90% of your wages.
So depending on what kind of job you had, why go back and make minimum wage or whatever, or low income? Not that everybody does. I could just sit home and collect the paycheck.
If you worked at a grocery store, like let's say Safeway or that, you probably get more money being on benefit. So, weird.
Speaking of bangle bracelets, has anyone else used them as a... The only bangles I know are the band from the 80s. I won't touch that one. Okay, so basically here we are almost, going on 5 years post-pandemic.
Yeah.
There was a problem. I don't want to be ageist, but a lot of the younger generation over here, I think, comfortable. And they're like, why am I going back to work?
I think if I had to say what my view of that is, I'd say a lot of that is thanks to the technology of today.
What we're doing right now.
We got to remember is when you were younger, like let's say 1935?
1862.
1862. You didn't even have TVs, phones, or anything, let alone smartphones.
Dude, we were like Stone Age back then, man. Come on.
Drawing on rocks and everything.
Rocks. We didn't even develop penicillin and
damn. It
must
have been hard. It must have been hard. But what I'm saying is there was no technology. There wasn't that much. And
hello, Alex.
Hey, Alex. Trinder in the house. Way.
I'm not trying to get political, but this discussion is very fascinating to me because I didn't realize it was an issue in other places.
Well, I think it's technology. Young people as well. Trinder's young, he'll know because he's a smart guy. But it's a lot harder now because I feel prices have gone way too high as well for things like education. It's hard to focus because we've got phones, we've got technology. And it's just a hard world for youngsters. Like if I had a kid now, I would worry about him in 20 years because I think, wow, it's probably going to get worse than it is now. Do you know what I mean? And I think if you didn't have the technology and you had the old school prices for houses and that, there'd be more to go for. Because when I look at a house now, you're looking at 820,000. You put a deposit down on that, you're still going to be paying for it for probably 10, 20 years. And probably end up with the price going up because over here you have a fixed mortgage, right, for like 5 years, 10 years, and then they can change it. It's not fixed completely the whole time.
Have you talked to Criterion about streaming Ford Boris on their Criterion?
We're planning to when we go on the Criterion closet.
Let me just say this, and I'm probably going to get some grief for this. I don't own a single Criterion film.
And you're on here, get off! You don't belong in this community. You don't belong here.
Own, like on DVD, I think I passed them on or something. Was Dead Ringers, Cronenberg stuff, Videodrome. I know
So the
Criterion.
generic stuff, then, basically, that everybody has.
And then, as the Big Lebowski always says, the bums will always lose.
So it's talking about you when it comes to not having criterions.
I'm not a Criterion fan, but no, Fart Blower Cinema is not. It's never. We've only done one. We definitely need to do more. But I've tried to be a little bit more positive than negative because I'll do it once in a while. But there's too many negative YouTubers out there without naming names. I don't need to add fuel to the fire. I mean, when a movie,
I'm going to name them. I'm going to name and show them right now.
Go for it.
Here we go. Woo! Here we go. Get them out the lucky hat. Woo! We're going to name one. John C. Phillips. Negative. Yeah.
Is he negative? I stopped watching his channel after watching his horrible films. So.
I don't know. He just annoys the hell out of me. Who's negative? Let's think. I'd say one who's negative. Right. And yeah, this is going to be very controversial. Right. Big YouTuber. Massive YouTuber. Alex Trinder.
Alex Trinder.
Negative. Every video he does. Negative.
Well, I know that there's a part of the YouTube world that expects free movies from studios and boutique labels for them to like hold them up, not watch them. They're still shrink wrapped, right? And then maybe read the plot synopsis off the back and give their 2 cents. And I think that's not the right way to do it.
You're going to call anyone out? You're going to call any people out on that?
That just get reviews? Oh, yeah. Brendan does it.
Hey!
Brendan Mitchell does it. And don't get me wrong. I like Brendan. I've had him on the show. But it's, the problem is I feel like the studios, I don't even think they pay attention anymore. They probably have people on mailing lists from 5-10 years ago. They're so focused on streaming that they probably don't even care that these things get mailed out. I mean, they get a press release and they're in a, nice bubble mailer or whatever. But I don't think that, like when I first started doing journalism was 2009 or 10. That's when those things were bigger. YouTube was around, but it wasn't what it is now. I think a lot of people were doing reviews more on websites like Bloody Disgusting, Dread Central.
Like Blu-ray.com, but a lot more on the more other sites.
Uh-oh. Damn. You caught me in a 4K.
Say?
Friendly fire. Well, look. A lot of people are not on YouTube. They're very disingenuous, two-faced.
Oh.
In the short 6 months I've been doing this, I've seen it. And while it sucks, it doesn't surprise me because I've been a journalist for 15 years. And there's a lot of jealousy and animosity.
How about going live at the same time they know you're going live?
I mean, that's fine. Look, I'm a small channel. I do this for fun. Yes, I would like more subscribers because I like to interact with people. Yes, I would like more views because I know it means I can get more people to watch my channel because they throw you into the algorithm. I understand that, but it's not my life. It's not like, I mentioned a couple people's names, but we're having an honest conversation. You're going to get honest. I'm not going into details about stuff. I could really go there if I wanted to, but I don't think it's going to be helpful in the long run to anybody's case. But what I will say is this about anybody in life. What you see is what you get. The way they treat you in a video or talk to you is what they think of you. And if you're going to support somebody's channel and they're going to ignore you and not respect you, that you've taken time out of your day to comment, to watch or whatever, I'm not a fan of that at all.
Oh.
Alex can't wait for Amazon's amazing deals that they that they do every few months. Are there deals? But I feel like with those kind of sales with Amazon, I have a wish list on Amazon, but it's not stuff I want people to buy for me. It's stuff that it's either from the boutique label that's overcharging, and I kind of put it in a queue. And so when they have a sale, I go directly to my wish list, and it's never discounted. It's never Severin or whatever. So I feel like you have to be careful as a collector. You might go into their deals not looking for something, but buying it because it's on sale and not buying it because you actually want it.
It's funny, because when I first moved back to England, there was a Prime Day sale, and I bought like 180 discs in the Prime Day sale.
Because you're
And
Malcolm. You freaking do that every day. One day's Amazon, next day's Severin, next day's, well, I can't say Culture Shock because they only have one movie or a few, but yeah, that's a new, every day's Amazon sale for Malcolm.
Well, and I realised that I was falling for tricks because those sales happen all the time, just different, Their Criterion sales are bad. I think Amazon sales are some of the worst, personally. But it depends where you are. I think the American sales are a lot better than the UK ones.
I think Barnes and Nobles, the bookstore that sells movies in America, is still around, but obviously they're hurting. When they have a sale, it's not even a sale. Like people will freak out. Like Barnes and Noble has a Criterion sale, and it might be a little bit less. We have to remember Barnes and Nobles will sell one movie for $40, and when it goes on sale, it's $30, which is still really high for one film.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I've learned with the Criterion sale is most of the time you can get them cheap on Amazon before they actually have the sale.
The way Malcolm so nonchalantly mentions buying 180 discs like it's nothing. Alex, it'll probably take me 3 years to buy 180 discs. And this guy,
and the same as a subscription.
Subscription ends up being like 50, 45, 50. I might add on a few things. Honestly, I probably do 100 a year. The best UK deal was 2 for 15 HMV or Indicator and Radiance Arrow, and Criterion deals are horrible now.
If you don't own them, that's the thing. If they're great deal, if you don't own them.
So we got off track, but whatever. I still love Beavis and Butt-Head. This is a streaming film only. It's probably never going to come to Blu-ray. It's not. It
was announced yesterday, 4K, with 8K upscaling, with Beavis and Butt-Head do America in 16K. And get this, you can get a plushie of both of them and a Lego fig and Beavis and Butt-Head condoms, right? One for your partner and one for the other person. Because if you're going to buy it, you can both have two, aren't you? I don't even believe it.
I don't even believe it was 180 films. Probably a bit of dyslexia. It was like 801. Yeah, Darth, if you look behind him and you see all those movies, that's just a portion of them. There's probably like sprawling out to another room. This poor wife can't even lay in the bed because they're stacked on the bed.
She has to lay on them.
She has to lay on them. Yeah. So they went from possibly, robbers coming in your house to your wife can't even sleep in her bed anymore.
I'm going to tell this right now. If robbers came to my house, they'd probably slip and probably cut their necks on the discs.
Yeah, I could have totally, this film, I could have moved it over to, where's the Blu-ray? Because it's one of those streaming films that probably is never going to come out. But I have Paramount Plus. I was able to watch it. It is what it is.
I watched the Christmas special as well today from 1990. I think it was 5.
That's right. They did have that, didn't they?
Yeah, Christmas special where Butt-Head's dressed up as Santa and Beavis is a reindeer, and they start off with basically the Christmas Carol, and then they go into another one where he's dreaming and he's like cooking a rat on the thing. It was a good one. 39 minutes, not bad.
What I didn't think about ahead of time, when you do a retrospective on guys that are not the sharpest tools in the shed, it's kind of hard to make it an hour long. I realized that you can't be philosophical about these guys. You kind of have to just talk about it and move on. So it actually works better as like a 30-minute piece.
Well, you went on about, we were talking about Beavis and Butt-Head, and you went on to randomly ranting about YouTubers and everything, and about how they're ponces.
Started it. Shit,
how did I do that? You're the one who mentioned it first.
You go back and rewind the video. You started it. Then you're like,
I didn't.
You need to name somebody because you're not naming names.
I think it's very important to name names if you're going to bring it up.
Okay, then you need to name people that don't take advantage of you and don't use you as for your full knowledge on their videos.
Oh, I don't know
Do
what you're
either of you
talking about.
identify with Beavis and Butt-Head or different animated characters? I'm a little bit of both. I'm a little bit of Beavis and the Butthead.
I'd say more of a butthead, to be honest, but I would say I can. I would say more. I'm probably more Beavis.
Any other
But
animated
if I had
characters?
to compare myself to an animated character, that animated character would probably be Ash Ketchum from Pokemon.
Oh boy, Pokemon.
Because I feel like I've always been trapped in a kid's body, with a kid's mind. If I probably did get electrocuted, if I'm probably in a coma, but this is all a dream. Just like Ash Ketchum in Pokemon.
Well, all of us are Peter Pan because none of us really wanted to grow up. I didn't want to. I remember being 10, 11, 12. I don't want to be an adult. I don't want to go to work. I kind of was like Peter Pan syndrome where I just wanted to be a kid because I realized my responsibilities were so minimal and that being an adult was tougher and rougher.
Yeah,
so it took me a while to like want to work my first job. I think I might have been 18. A lot of people started 16, 17.
Damn, you started late.
Exactly. You consider it late. I just considered it, I wasn't ready. I was ready to be a forever kid.
My dad started working when he was 6. Seriously.
Damn. I identify with Bo from She-Ra since he was such a stud. I did watch I used to get home from middle school. He-Man was like He-Man and Scooby-Doo were always, it was completely different in the 80s, at least over here in the States. It was nothing but cartoons on Saturday morning, but even during the week, 3, 4, 5 o'clock, He-Man, Transformers, Heckle and Jekyll, and a little bit of Scooby-Doo and all the different shows that they had.
Since I didn't answer, I can say he wasn't a chimney sweep. He was doing newspapers on the street.
He's a paper boy.
People. He was a paper boy, and he talked change and that. But as for Alex, the character he connects with would be Scrappy Doo. So the voice and everything. Scrappy power. But yeah, my dad was doing that because my nan used to force him and my uncle out to work when they were really little. My dad got TB because of that.
Oh, tuberculosis?
Yeah, and he was in hospital for 6 months. That shows you how different the times were. 6 months he was in hospital. Mental.
Got infected, huh? While he was on the job?
Well, he got it because they're handing money, and he always had a weak immune system. So because of that, he missed a lot of time in school, thus made him more awkward in life later on.
Wow.
My dad didn't lose his virginity until he was 24. In the back seat of a car, right, of a woman, I kid you not, who liked singing blues music while doing it.
Is that how Malcolm became, or no?
No, because that wasn't my mother. He got my mum when he was 35.
I agree, Alex. Too much info.
Hey, well, you said you said it wasn't enough, so I'm adding stuff to the thing to keep it going, you see?
So what we need to do is go back to our favorite video games, because now I feel like going and finding an arcade somewhere and playing some of those.
Ooh.
Like Shinobi. That one's just...
It's classic. Do you remember the tune of it? The tune was amazing.
Golden Axe, Shinobi. I just love those games.
But did you play all the Golden Axes on the system?
I did. Sega Genesis had one. I want to say it was Golden Axe 2. It wasn't as good. There was like a Revenge of Shinobi.
Yeah.
Might have also been Sega. Because at the time, this was like early 90s. When I worked at Blockbuster, I got 5 free rentals a week. It could be movies or video games. So I had a Sega Genesis. And eventually I had a Sega CD. And I would just rent. I would see what we had in stock, and I was constantly renting games, and that's where I played.
Oh, yeah, I keep forgetting. You had the inside knowledge, didn't you? Because you were right there.
Mal, tell Tell the story about how you lost your virginity at a petting zoo.
Okay,
Oh,
well, one day
they're
I went
roasting
to
you, man.
one day I went to a zoo, and there was this beautiful woman looking at me from behind the cage. I thought, whoa, this is the most gorgeous thing I've ever seen, right? So there I am, I'm looking, and I see there's this thing saying, do not pass, do not enter. I go in there, I shut the cage behind me because I'm like, you know what, I don't want anyone else getting in. She's beautiful, I'm feeling in the mood. Next thing I know, there's people taking pictures. What's going on? Turns out I was deceived. It wasn't a woman, it was a gorilla.
So that's your Gorillas in the Mist story?
Yeah, why not?
That doesn't sound like it's true. I know that you flew your way over to Malaysia or something, and
Oh, Malaysia. You thinking I'd have to go to Malaysia to that? Nah. I didn't need to go to Malaysia to lose my virginity, I'll assure you of that.
I know there was some disc announcements today. Wasn't there some Asian cinema?
Criterion was announced today.
Wasn't there one of your kind of films in there?
There was, and there was a 4K, I believe. Of I will tell you, but I can't look because of my thing.
Wasn't it one Gummo?
Yeah, Gamo was one, which is actually quite an exciting one to actually be announced, especially on 4K.
Yeah.
It's definitely one I'd want the 4K of. Oh, Pandora's Box was announced as well. You know, the silent.
Yeah, I saw there was 4 movies that announced today. So
yeah, there was a double pack 4K one, which I think was the Asian one, I believe. I could be wrong because obviously I'm not looking right now because I'm on my phone.
Yeah. Is your
Otherwise I'd be
computer still booting up?
Yeah, it's still booting up. I finally can start logging in, but it's taking forever.
Is that like a modem? Is that like a CPU? Is that like old fashioned? Is that like a from War Games? From the
Well,
83?
this computer I've had for 1 year, and it's the slowest bloody thing I've had ever.
Yeah.
I can tell what those new announcements are in a minute if you want.
Yeah, go ahead.
As it loads, I shall tell you.
You know what? I will find it.
Okay, you'll find it. Do 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 do.
We got what do we have?
Did you find them?
Yeah, I'm gonna go to Dawn of the Disc. That guy's usually on top of it.
Oh, Dawn of the Dicks.
Is that what he's called?
That's what you called him.
Okay.
You called him that in Alive.
Okay, Demon Pond.
Yeah.
Let me pull this up.
Demon Pond.
Can you see that?
Yep, I can see it.
So we got Pandora's Box, a new 2K digital restoration.
Jamaica released that over here, so doesn't surprise.
And then we have a double feature of I Walk with the Zombie and the Seventh Victim, both
That's
from
a 4K.
Val.
I'm excited about that.
4K UHD on October 8th.
Mm.
This looks like something you would want, even
Yes.
if it's not exploitation. Demon Pond.
Demon Pond.
That's 4K on October 15th. Gummo, I never seen it, but I know a lot of people were losing their
That's
stuff
a must
over this.
buy.
It's a must buy.
That's a must buy.
4K. All these were 4Ks, weren't they?
I don't think they all are. I don't think Pandora's Box was.
Correct. 3 out of the 4. Harmony, Corinne's, Gummo. Nice artsy looking cover there. Looks like Cowboys and Aliens,
Oh, Cowboys and Aliens.
a 4K from Kino Lorber. I like this comment. Love Kino's strategy of just throwing darts at a studio's catalog and saying, fuck it. Wish they
It does
actually
seem that
put out
way.
stuff I like. Yeah, they Body Double 4K, Brian De Palma.
Yeah, no, that's garbage.
I like that film. But I
Nah.
could see where if you're comparing it maybe to a 70s stuff, it doesn't stand up. Euphoria, coming from Kino Lorber, 1984. This looks like something I've never seen on disc.
No, I've never heard of it, I don't think.
Cindy Williams, Harry Dean Stanton, Fred Ward, Harry Carey. This is kind of stuff I'm not interested, but I like to see things I've never heard of.
Yeah. I might get that in the sale.
Radioland Murders, coming to
That looks
Blu-ray. I
good.
think that was produced by George Lucas, I want to say.
Mm.
Yeah, produced by George Lucas, story by Lucas. I want to talk about that.
Hey.
But
Did you end up
anyway,
picking anything up?
no, sir, I did not.
Nothing in the Severance sale got your fancy.
Let's see what I miss here. I told you about that bloody Argos PC. LOL. You cheaped out.
Oh.
An unfortunate note. Did you hear the passing of Richard Simmons, who made his first film appearance in Fellini Sadirokan?
Yeah, I've got real bone to pick with people about this. So different people. I've got Richard Simmons died, right? And these people have said to me, "Who's that?" And I'm like, "How do you not know who Richard Simmons is?"
I mean, if you're probably 20 or younger, maybe not, because he was kind of a recluse in his later years. But if you were born pre-2000, I'm thinking you should know, based off his exercise videos were so huge. You have to remember, though, he wasn't like a movie star. He wasn't in, I mean, he was in, sure, he's in some
He was a
movies,
movie star. He was in The Nutty Professor.
right? But when you think of him, you think of Richard Simmons workout videos from the 80s. Well, we lost Richard Simmons, Shannon Doherty. There was two other people, Shelley Duvall.
Yep.
And I'm forgetting somebody else. I think there was 4 people in the last.
Yeah, an elderly lady.
Yeah. So, I mean, but, you know, I know there's like a thinking, well, people are passing away so fast. How is this so? This is because we have the internet. If
Well,
you
I'm
go
going to be
back
honest with you here. One of them was one of the sexiest people I've ever seen in my life when they were younger. And the other one was Shelley Duvall and Shannon Doherty.
yeah, I mean, sadly, people pass away all the time, famous or not. We just live in the era of we got instant information where somebody passes away, you will find out 5 minutes later. If you go back and pull up somebody who passed away in 1986, every day there was famous people passing away. Some more famous. It's just we live in a time where if you're on social media and you're savvy about Twitter, you're going to find out because you don't have to go buy a newspaper or watch the news. We have the internet that answers all those questions for us.
Well, you know, I'll be honest here. I think, you know, a lot of people with Richard Simmons, they kind of, unless you really, you know, look for him or you really saw him in the media much, you know, you didn't realize how much of an impact he had. You know, I always said he was like the Gordon Ramsay of exercise videos, you know. I think it's sad, but I would say out of the 3 of them, the saddest one probably is Shannon because she was so young still, you know, and had to deal with a lot.
Well,
And she looked rough. She looked rough when she, you know, in the last film I saw her in.
Well,
Which makes it even more sad.
She was only 53, and I forget she's been dealing with the cancer at least a decade, if not longer.
Yeah.
So, you know, a good chunk of her life, she's been ill. And it's kind of similar to how Olivia Newton-John passed away.
Yeah.
Found out she had breast cancer, and go into remission, come back. Unfortunately, it's a very aggressive disease. And yeah, I mean, Shannon Doherty was the same age as me. So 53.
Puts it in perspective.
But, you know, hopefully, you know, she's no longer in, you know, obviously she's no longer in pain, but we don't know her on a personal level. So, you know, her family and friends are dealing with a lot. So it's always sad when somebody passes away. It
Yeah.
always is. Because you feel like a part of you start to think about your mortality more as well. If you're younger, you don't. You're 20 and 30 and people pass away. You're like, it's going to be forever before I get old. Oh, God, he must think I'm older than 53. He's like, you're only 53? He's like, I thought you were 73. Yeah, I'm only 53. I was born in 1971. But you know what? I look better than most people my age, so it's all good. I'm in pretty good shape. Wait.
Yeah, in some of those pictures you've shared in the past, you look jacked a bit.
Wait.
Oh.
That's about it.
You're like, I look great until I do the boogie boarding, and I'm like,
oh, well, yeah. Your body takes a beating, and you're like, for 3 days, you like can't move. So, but you know what? Speaking of Beavis and Butt-Head, I do eventually, when we get closer to October, want to look at our favorite Halloween episodes of The Simpsons.
Oh, that'd be good.
Like, there's so many because it literally, the second season of The Simpsons was the first year they did a Halloween special. So they've had one ever since. So I'm thinking October, we're going to do like our top 5 Halloween episodes.
I like that idea.
There's so many. I don't know which one to pick, but
yeah, isn't it like Treehouse of Horror like 98 now?
You're 20 years. What? You are 20 years younger than Aaron? I thought Aaron was
because I always say Aaron's 73, don't I?
Oh, I don't think. Yeah, Aaron's right. I think he's the exact same age as me.
Yeah,
53.
Aaron's 53, but I always say 73.
It must be some inside joke I don't know about.
I think it's from Darth Sidious watching the video because I was going, "You're not 53, you're 73."
Darth Sidious, how old are you? Let us know, Alex.
I can tell you how old he is.
Okay, if he wants to, maybe he doesn't want you.
I will tell you how old he is right now. He is 62.
Whoa.
Yeah.
1 year younger than you? Yeah, that's what you get.
No.
But anyways, yeah. I think we could wrap up Beaver and Bunghole. I think that we've covered them as much as we can. Actually, I think I want to start talking about video games.
Hey, that'd be awesome.
Even if nobody shows up, because we didn't have a lot of people come into this chat, but whatever. It's not
talk about video games.
Video games, but retro, like
that'd be good.
From 1975 to like 1995, like that 20-year gap. Because I haven't played video games since I had a Wii, and even Wii is old in the big scheme of things. It's probably 15 years old. But I think as I gotten older and I find time, it's harder to have time to do anything. So I basically put movies above anything else, and I had to push video games. What you need to
do is you need to get like those RetroPie things because you can get them for like a couple of $100.
Oh, my brother gave me one. I could play it on my TV.
Well, there you go then. Right? And then you can start playing.
Yeah, they have like all the Sega Genesis, Nintendo.
Yeah.
What was it? Intellivision, like all them retro games. But again, one game you get involved with, and it's like playing Monopoly. 3 hours later, you're like not even halfway through the game. And
I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you something that will help. Right? It's very controversial, but it's true. Right? The one thing that always helps. I'm 46, but I look patriotically, it does. Right? If you're good with your hands when it comes to certain things in the life, right? Like me, right? Then you'll always be good at video games.
Yeah, you're not using your finger. We know what you're using your hands for, and it's not for pressing buttons. It's from buying adult films and
the quicker the better, right? Boom, 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 boom.
So next week we will go back to some horror, but I'm not leaving comedy regardless of how well this video does or doesn't. We're going to do Friday the 13th franchise. We'll kind of recap the 12 films, our thoughts on the 12 films. But is it time to say goodbye to Friday the 13th? Between the legal problems, they're talking about a TV show, which I don't think most people really want.
Yeah.
They really want Jason in a mask killing dumb teenagers. That probably is not going to happen anytime soon. And I didn't like the remake, and it had those things in it, yet somehow it didn't work for me. So just kind of like, I feel like it's maybe like a bon voyage to the Friday the 13th films. Maybe that era is done and we need to move on. Same with Freddy Krueger to an extent. I think we're not going to see a new Nightmare on Elm Street for a long time, if ever. Because if they were going to do them, they would have done them already. You have to think about it. We haven't had an Elm Street or Friday the 13th film in about 15 years.
Yeah.
That's a long time ago.
I think so. I mean, I'm very conflicted when it comes to the horror icons, but I can say that in the next video anyway. So
yeah, we'll talk about that next Monday, and Friday I'm back to work, so no Friday.
No.
Trust me, I would love to do these twice a week. Friday's not. Wednesday was probably more realistic, like a Monday, Wednesday, because I have a feeling, I want to start doing all the Vinegar Syndromes, not necessarily the first of the month, but a couple days afterwards when I have time to kind of look at the website and what came out. Because I really, the Severin and Vinegar Syndrome sales, people like them. Those do really well. We get a lot of people in to watch those. So I definitely want to do those. But yeah, let me make sure guys, if you have time, do these things. It really does make a difference. And thank you for watching as always. And I am the Master Butthead, and Malcolm is
the Dirty Beavis.
You got that. That's a whole other, that pisses me off, and that's a whole nother story. Do the thumb. I can't do that. I'll never get it, dude. I'll never get it. Okay, let's